Beloved, chosen one, pause for a moment. You're scrolling your worries, your very breath, and listen with the ears of your soul. That number, 2222, shining brightly on the thumbnail caught your attention, didn't it? It wasn't just a fleeting detail. It was a divine invitation that led you to click this video. In Scripture and in the life of every believer who walks by, Faith 2222 carries the unmistakable signature of divine alignment, perfect union, and the Father's deliberate preparation for covenant relationship. It is the echo of Genesis, where God created man and woman as one doubled and doubled again, announcing that what he kept separate for a season is now being brought into perfect oneness. This moment is no accident. You're not here because of an algorithm or mere chance. It's a divine appointment orchestrated by God himself. Why have you been walking this path alone? Why has God kept you single all this time? Could it be that he's been shaping you for a calling only you can fulfill? This video is here to unveil the reasons to stir your faith and to prepare you for the breakthrough God has planned. I invite you to share in the comments where you're watching from, your city, your country, and type the number 2222 to declare your trust in God's timing. What you sow in faith today, God will multiply back to you tenfold, overflowing with his blessings. Open your heart, chosen ones, and step into the divine purpose God has set before you. Let's begin. The Lord may permit your emotions to experience a linkage, but if that individual is incapable of accompanying you to the elevated stage of your vocation, he will eliminate them from your path at times in a sudden manner. Within your unattached state, the Almighty is cultivating your ability to judge wisely. This involves perceiving past superficial allure, physical appeal, and basic harmony, allowing you to discern the underlying spiritual essence of a person. Those who are selected must possess acute spiritual insight because their companion will transcend the role of a mere partner. They will serve as a collaborative worker in the realm of heaven. The Lord recognizes that if you pledge yourself to someone prematurely prior to this judgment skill reaching maturity, you might bond with an individual who appears suitable but proves detrimental to your inner being. This also clarifies why you have undergone periods of profound detachment during which you withdrew from social groups, lost enthusiasm for pursuing romance, and even developed a righteous unease about committing simply to conform to expectations. During those intervals, the Almighty was eliminating distractions to enhance your ability to perceive his guidance more distinctly. The fewer diversions arise from inappropriate romantic ties, the greater your capacity to evolve into the complete expression of your divine task. And to be candid, chosen one, your task carries substantial importance. The Lord is not merely readying you to become a life companion for another. He is equipping you to wield authority, to proclaim realities, to deliver restoration, to transform environments in every place you visit. You cannot advance into such authority without enduring phases of purification, and purification frequently occurs in seclusion, while others may occupy their moments with ongoing social interactions you are undergoing. Instruction in tranquility. In this period, the Almighty is additionally instructing you on the significance of your own company. Numerous selected individuals succumb to the misconception that their value escalates upon entering a partnership. But the reality is that your value was determined prior to your birth. Being unattached enables you to view yourself through the lens of Allah, of the Lord, as entirely integrated, fully realized, and deficient in nothing. Once you internalize this perspective, you cease drawing in romantic ties driven by isolation and begin attracting them from a position of plenitude. I encourage you to observe an aspect of your path up to this point. Each romantic tie that concluded, every opportunity that vanished, every individual who departed, all of it propelled you nearer to the Almighty. It eliminated interruptions and guided you to a state where his voice became more audible. That does not equate to defeat. That signifies harmony. The Lord has been constructing a rendition of you capable of remaining resilient regardless of human companionship. During this chapter, observe closely how the Almighty is furnishing you with resources. You might discover yourself attracted to fresh religious routines, delving more profoundly into sacred texts, uncovering concealed abilities, or experiencing an intensified awareness of direction. This represents your readiness phase. The efforts you invest presently will not go unused. When the appropriate moment arrives, and the Lord introduces your heavenly companion, you will encounter them as a fully developed individual, one anchored in intention, not seeking affirmation desperately. Keep in mind, chosen one, your vocation holds too much importance to be accelerated. If you have sensed that you lag behind in existence due to your continued unattached status, comprehend this fact. You are not lagging. You are adhering to the timeline, the Lord's timeline, and His scheduling is impeccable. The exact element you have been anticipating will manifest neither prematurely nor belatedly, but precisely when both you and your companion are equipped to proceed in harmony without any concessions. Until that point, do not disdain your unattached state. Acknowledge it as the consecrated chapter it truly embodies. This is the space where the Almighty is forming your emotions, honing your inner essence, and readying you to bear the burden of your fate. You are not being disregarded. You are being distinguished. And the identical Almighty who summoned you into this chapter will summon you forth from it upon completion of the necessary labor. This explains why, chosen one, you need to accept your vocation within this unattached period. It does not constitute a penalty. It provides security. It does not represent postponement. It embodies heavenly tactics. And once you grasp this concept, you will cease doubting the Lord's blueprint and commence navigating it with assurance and serenity. Heavenly safeguarding and conservation of vitality. Chosen one. Among the most profound explanations for why the Lord has maintained your unattached status is that your inner essence bears a significance that not all can manage, and not all should be granted access to influence. You transcend mere physical form. You function as a heavenly container, harboring illumination, insight, and command. An incorrect linkage can deplete that illumination more swiftly than you might anticipate. And adversarial forces are aware of this. Therefore, the Lord has established a barrier surrounding you, one that frequently manifests as seclusion. Teachings concealed within seclusion. Romantic bonds surpass mere sentimental attachments. They involve transfers of vitality. Each dialogue, each contact, each instance shared with another constitutes a trade of spiritual essence. For a selected individual whose mere existence can alter surroundings, this transfer holds sanctity. It demands protection. Envision attempting to replenish a container with a fissure at its base. Regardless of the volume the Lord infuses into you, if you are linked to someone who siphons your vitality, you will perpetually sense depletion. This clarifies why certain romantic ties in your existence have terminated so unexpectedly and lacking justification. You might have attributed it to your shortcomings or perhaps theirs, but frequently it was unrelated to either party. The Lord perceived an element you could not detect, an invisible spiritual burden that individuals bore a tainted intention they might not have recognized themselves. He eliminated them since their continued involvement in your life would have jeopardized your objective. Selected individuals draw others for various motivations. Some are attracted to your illumination because they identify the divine presence within you. Others are pulled in because your vitality offers restoration to them even if they cannot articulate it. And then there exist those dispatched, indeed dispatched by entities opposing your intention. Their function is to divert, to dishearten, or to exhaust. They might appear masked as romantic interest, as camaraderie, or even as assistance. Absent heavenly safeguarding, you might fail to recognize the threat until damage occurs. This accounts for why the Lord conceals you from particular individuals and why some prospective linkages never progress to an initial exchange. There exists another reality that many disregard. Closeness forges soul connections. These transcend simple sentimental recollections. They consist of heavenly linkages that bind your inner essence to another's. A soul connection with an unsuitable individual can obscure your perception, warp your reception of the Lord's messages, and anchor you to patterns you have already surpassed. The Lord will not permit you, His designated container, to become ensnared in soul connections that diminish your capacity to accomplish your task. Reflect upon your existence. Can you recall instances when being in the company of specific people caused your spiritual passion to wane, when your aspirations grew more difficult to recall, your supplications felt more burdensome, or your clarity appeared muddled? That is not mere happenstance. That indicates vitality being extracted. Adversarial forces recognize they cannot annihilate you directly, so they seek to deplete you until you lack the resilience to pursue your vocation. The Lord is aware of this as well, and He prohibits it. Some of you have encountered an odd, nearly otherworldly obstacle when attempting to engage in romance or chase a potential interest. All aspects might appear satisfactory externally, yet progress simply would not occur. That stems from the Lord stationing guardians at the entrances to your fate, and no one gains entry without authorization. Those dismissals that brought you tears were in fact spiritual salvations. I desire for you to comprehend that this degree of safeguarding is not universal. It represents a special privilege, even if it seems burdensome. Many individuals possess the liberty to select their romantic paths, even if those selections ultimately cause harm. But since you are selected, the Lord has claimed the authority to step in when a linkage would derail your intention. That might result in fewer choices, but it also ensures superior caliber in the connections genuinely destined for you. Your vitality holds immense value because it powers the endeavors you are intended to undertake on this planet. Each gesture of generosity, each statement you utter, each supplication you offer draws from that source. If you grant inappropriate individuals ongoing access to it, you will discover yourself fatigued and incapable of remaining steadfast when your task demands it. This explains why the Lord is not hastening you toward romantic bonds. He is instructing you on safeguarding your inner essence and discerning who merits your vitality. You have likely observed that even within friendships, you exhibit sensitivity to negativity, idle talk, envy, or concealed intentions. That represents your spiritual detection system operating. The identical system that alerts you in friendships will prove even more essential when selecting a lifelong companion. This extends beyond merely evading discomfort. It concerns maintaining the divine empowerment you possess. Empowerment operates optimally in cleanliness, concentration, and tranquility, and an unsuitable romantic bond will stifle all three. Chosen one. If you have encountered recurring sequences of brief romantic engagements, do not interpret it as dismissal. View it as heavenly safeguarding. The Lord has been erecting a spiritual barrier around you because the essence you bear is far too precious to be tainted. There exist tasks that necessitate constant spiritual acuity, and a depleting romantic bond would dull that acuity. At times, the Lord's safeguarding manifests by rendering you undetectable to specific individuals. You might question why you do not receive approaches as frequently as others, or why you appear to be ignored. The reality is that you are not ignored. You are concealed. Concealed from those who would mishandle your emotions. Concealed from those who would draw you into patterns of conflict. Concealed from those who would absorb your illumination without reciprocating. So during this chapter, rather than harboring resentment toward your unattached state, respect it as a protective barrier. Express gratitude to the Lord for the linkages that never materialized, for the romantic bonds that concluded suddenly, and for the opportunities that were denied outright. Each refusal served as a salvation. Each postponement added a reinforcement to your inner armor. You might not have perceived the peril, but the celestial realm did. And if this strikes a chord with you, if you can now retrospect and identify the sequences of heavenly intervention that preserved you from spiritual and sentimental damage, enter 444 in the comments section immediately. This serves as your validation that your seclusion does not constitute penalty. It represents the Lord's method of maintaining the illumination inside you, so that when He ultimately guides you into the embrace of your heavenly companion, you will be integrated, resilient, and luminous. The Lord has been vigilantly protecting you because He comprehends the demands of your vocation. You cannot contribute from a depleted container. Your vitality requires conservation. Your inner essence demands protection, and your emotions must stay untainted. That chosen one explains why you have remained unattached for such an extended duration. Not due to any lack of merit, but because you possess inestimable value, purifying your inner essence and fostering character growth. Chosen one. The Lord's choice to sustain your unattached status during this chapter extends beyond merely defending you from injury. It also involves molding you into the instrument He requires you to become. Every vocation entails a certain burden, and prior to bearing that burden, your inner essence and personal qualities must undergo purification. This aspect challenges many because purification often manifests as seclusion extension and occasionally even fragmentation. But under the Lord's guidance, fragmentation never aims at ruin. It seeks to reconstruct you as more robust, more pristine, and more insightful. When you are unattached, you possess a distinctive benefit. You can perceive the Lord more distinctly without the perpetual interference of a companion's requirements, viewpoints, and vitality occupying your environment. In this calmness, the Lord commences the process of removing the elements of your being that will not endure at your forthcoming elevation. He uncovers arrogance, restlessness, insecurity, and concealed injuries that you might have been unaware existed. A romantic bond could divert your attention from addressing these matters, but seclusion compels you to face them directly. This represents the barren chapter, a heavenly preparation field. Consider David caring for livestock prior to ascending as monarch, or Moses wandering the arid lands before guiding the people of Israel, or even Jesus enduring 40 days in isolation before commencing his open service. In every instance, their periods distant from multitudes were not squandered. They proved indispensable. The Lord utilized those intervals to purify their qualities, enhance their judgment, and fortify their determination. He is accomplishing the identical process with you. Purification additionally unveils the concealed riches within your inner essence. Many of your endowments emerge during chapters when you must depend entirely on the Lord. When no other provides emotional support, you acquire the skill of relying on Him. Chosen one, when the Lord sovereignly withholds romantic relationship from your life for a season. He is not punishing you. He is handing you a rare and priceless gift, undistracted, undivided space to pour every ounce of your energy, time, creativity, and passion into your spiritual growth, your kingdom assignment, your personal calling, and the dreams He planted in your heart long before any person ever caught your eye. While others are busy managing the beautiful but demanding dynamics of dating, engagement, or marriage, you have been given uninterrupted hours, days, weeks, and sometimes years to become the fullest, sharpest, most anointed version of yourself possible. This is the season where chosen ones learn to lead without needing a partner's permission, innovate without compromise, serve without division of heart, and build empires of eternal influence that would have been impossible if your focus had been split too soon. The Father is intentionally teaching you emotional and spiritual maturity that can only be forged in the furnace of waiting. Heaven-ordained covenant relationships require a level of self-control, wisdom, patience, and emotional stability that simply cannot be rushed. In this single season, you are mastering the art of governing your reactions instead of being governed by them. You are learning to feel deeply without being ruled by feelings, to desire strongly without being driven by desperation, to walk through disappointment without becoming bitter. You are being trained to carry another person's heart without dropping your own, to love fiercely without losing yourself, to disagree honorably without destroying unity. Without this deep inner work, even the right person arriving at the wrong time before you were ready could have crumbled under the weight of unresolved immaturity. The Lord loves you too much to let that happen. One of the most overlooked fruits of this preparation season is the gift of endurance, true, unshakable, long-distance spiritual endurance. The Father is teaching you to trust His perfect timing instead of frantically trying to force your own. He is proving to your heart over and over that delay is never denial in His kingdom. Every year you thought was wasted was actually a classroom where patience was being etched into your character. Every closed door was a lesson in trusting the unseen hand that closed it. Every lonely night was an invitation to lean harder into the one who will never leave. By keeping you single longer than feels comfortable, he is dismantling every lie society ever planted in your mind that screams you are incomplete without a partner, that your value is tied to a ring or a relationship status, that wholeness only comes when someone else chooses you. He is building a foundation of identity so rock solid that no human love and no human rejection will ever be able to shake who you know are in him. There is also a profound purification taking place right now. Chosen one. In this season of intentional singleness, the Lord is lovingly, thoroughly, surgically removing every toxic pattern, every unhealthy craving, every broken coping mechanism you might have carried into previous relationships. He is healing the hidden fractures left by past betrayals, abandonments, rejections, or heartbreaks that you may not even realize were still bleeding. He is uprooting soul ties that never should have been formed. He is cleansing mindsets of scarcity, performance, or unworthiness that would have caused you to settle or sabotage what he is bringing. Without this holy detoxification, you would have unconsciously dragged old baggage into new seasons, recreating cycles of pain with different faces. But because you surrendered to the process, because you let the refiner's fire do its work, when the appointed covenant finally arrives, you will meet them from a place of wholeness, not brokenness, from overflow, not emptiness, from security, not desperation. And let us speak plainly about your standards, because the Lord has not only been healing you, he has been raising the bar inside you, not in pride, not in arrogance, but in holy, righteous alignment with the worth he has placed upon you and the weight of the calling you carry. The longer you walk undistracted with Jesus, the clearer your vision becomes. You begin to recognize counterfeit from covenant with startling accuracy. You stop tolerating disrespect disguised as just joking. You stop excusing spiritual laziness masked as grace. You stop accepting lukewarm affection that flickers instead of the steady burning love heaven reserved for you. You learn the difference between someone who is merely curious about your anointing and someone who is actually sent to protect honor and run alongside it. Chosen one, you are no longer willing to shrink, slow down, or silence parts of your calling just to keep someone comfortable. You are no longer begging for scraps of attention from people who cannot see your value. You are no longer negotiating with mediocrity because loneliness once made it feel acceptable. The standards rising in your heart are not walls of fear. They are walls of wisdom built brick by brick through every lesson this season has taught you. They are the boundaries of a son or daughter who finally knows who they are and whose they are. This is why the wait has been long. This is why the doors stayed closed. This is why the wrong people were removed so decisively. The Father was never withholding from you. He was keeping you safe for something and someone that will not just feel good for a season, but will carry eternal kingdom impact for generations. Every moment you thought you were still single, you were actually becoming the person your future covenant partner has been praying for, the person your future children will need you to be, the person your destiny demanded you become. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The preparation is nearly complete. The purification is almost finished. The standards have been set in stone. What felt like lonely years were actually holy years, sacred years, set-apart years that have made you ready in ways no rushed relationship ever could. The Lord did not leave you single out of forgetfulness. He kept you single out of fierce, intentional love. And very soon, when the alignment is perfect and the timing is undeniable, you will look back on every closed door, every quiet night, every raised standard, and you will fall to your knees in worship. Because you will finally see that the wait was never punishment. It was protection, preparation, and the most loving thing your Father could have done. Your covenant is coming, and because of this season, you will be ready to carry it in power, purity, and unshakable peace. Purification also forms your modesty. The Lord is excising the components of you that might abuse the favors he holds in store. Authority. Impact and affection can all become distorted if your qualities lack the strength to manage them. By maintaining your unattached status, the Lord ensures that when he bestows a companion impact or an expanded arena, you stay anchored and directed by his essence, not by self-importance or sentiment. Within this procedure, you might sense the strain between desiring companionship and recognizing that the Lord continues laboring on you. That strain indicates you are amidst the blaze of purification. Blaze causes discomfort. It consumes what does not fit. It requires yielding, but the outcome is precious metal, pristine, robust, and immovable. That is what the Lord is forging from you in this chapter. Chosen one. I recognize it can prove challenging when you survey your surroundings and observe others forming connections, uniting in matrimony and constructing shared existences while you persist in your unattached chapter. But comprehend this, their journey does not mirror yours. Your readiness differs because your vocation differs. The more substantial the task, the more profound the purification. The Lord cannot risk dispatching you prematurely. He has committed too extensively in you to permit you to collapse beneath the pressure of a task for which you are not completely equipped. One day you will express gratitude to the Lord for this interval. You will retrospect and observe how extensively you advanced in insight, how much more robust your belief grew, and how much sharper your perception became due to your seclusion. You will comprehend that the rendition of you who initiated this chapter could not have managed the favors the Lord is poised to bestow. So accept this purifying procedure. Permit the Lord to operate on you comprehensively. Engage with the instructions He is imparting. Utilize this interval to intensify your connection with Him, to perfect your endowments, and to evolve into the type of individual who can not only draw, but also maintain a wholesome, divinely designated romantic bond. Your unattached status does not represent a halt in your narrative. It is the segment where the Lord is transforming you into someone unstoppable in intention, unyielding in belief, and indestructible in essence. And when He determines you are prepared, your qualities will be so purified, your inner essence so resilient, that the favors He positions in your existence will solely expand and never diminish. That chosen one is the elegance and essential nature of this purifying chapter. It exists not to inflict pain upon you. It exists to equip you for all you have requested and beyond. Disrupting inherited patterns. Chosen one. An additional explanation for why the Lord has sustained your unattached status for this duration is that you are the individual tasked with disrupting inherited patterns within your lineage. You are not merely experiencing your personal narrative. You are revising a legacy that has been transmitted across decades, perhaps even centuries. The tendencies you have witnessed in your family regarding romantic bonds, unions, fidelity, reliability, and even affection are not entirely accidental. Some of them stem from spiritual repetitions that have persisted because no predecessor possessed the awareness, resilience, or divine empowerment to halt them. But you possess these qualities. For certain among you, you have observed repetitions of fractured unions, unfaithfulness, harmful partnerships, parenting alone without aid, economic uncertainty in romantic ties, or the acceptance of ongoing sentimental mistreatment as standard. These tendencies possess a spiritual origin, and if unaddressed, they continue transmitting to subsequent generations like an unseen legacy. Adversarial forces recognize that if they can sustain these repetitions in your lineage, they can undermine the base for forthcoming generations. But the Lord has designated you as the disruptor. This clarifies why you cannot hastily enter any romantic bond. The Lord has been employing this unattached interval to reveal to you the true dynamics at play. You are acquiring the skill to recognize malfunction so you can eradicate it fundamentally. You have likely noted that you cannot abide certain conduct or concessions that family members previously ignored. That is not simply individual taste. That is the essence of the Lord within you, rejecting the repetition of legacy. Remaining unattached in this chapter provides you the lucidity and room to recover from injuries you did not originate. You are addressing suffering that might have commenced prior to your birth. You are pardoning transgressions you did not endure personally, but nonetheless bear in your essence due to your upbringing. This recovery effort demands concentration and cannot be accelerated or performed incompletely. The Lord must seal every entrance to the former repetition before you can inaugurate the pathway to the novel. Some of you might have even questioned why you have been unable to form profound bonds with specific individuals who piqued your interest, even if they appeared promising. The reality is that the Lord detected elements in them that could evolve into the exact repetitions He is summoning you to disrupt. Even if you did not perceive it initially, He understood that binding yourself to that person could draw you back into the tendencies He is liberating you from. This represents heavenly aversion. Comprehend this. Disrupting an inherited repetition extends beyond merely locating the appropriate companion. It involves evolving into the appropriate individual, so that when the Lord unites you with your heavenly spouse, your bond becomes a fresh origin for succeeding generations. Your offspring will not mature viewing malfunction as ordinary. Your lineage will possess a novel spiritual base anchored in tranquility, respect, and pledged affection. That is the task the Lord is defending. This procedure also necessitates that you discard the detrimental romantic models you were exposed to. Perhaps you were instructed to tolerate mistreatment because affection entails forfeiture. Perhaps you observed manipulation presented as romantic pursuit. Perhaps you saw individuals accepting inadequacy due to fear of solitude. All those perspectives must be supplanted with the Lord's truths, and that transpires optimally in chapters when He commands your complete focus. Chosen one. I recognize this effort can seem isolating. You might even doubt its value. But I require you to recall something. You are bearing the liberation of those who will follow. Your compliance now will transform into their legacy later. The wholesome affection you exemplify will become the benchmark your offspring and their descendants will uphold. The limits you impose will shield them from ever entering repetitions of mistreatment, disrespect, or spiritual concession. This also explains why the conflict surrounding your romantic existence has been so fierce. Adversarial forces do not desire your success in this area because they comprehend that once you disrupt the repetition, the linkage is severed irrevocably. But the Lord's defense over you surpasses any scheme against you. Every postponement, every dismissal, every termination that seemed crushing it all contributed to your liberation. You are not lagging. You are advancing. Because you are halting what has restrained your lineage for generations. And when the occasion arrives, your romantic narrative will not merely bless you. It will serve as evidence that the Lord can reclaim and renew what has been fractured for an extended period. So in this chapter, persist in permitting the Lord to operate on you. Continue examining His teachings. Continue recovering. Continue dismantling every falsehood you were taught concerning affection and romantic bonds. Decline to accept anything reminiscent of the former repetition, and rely that when your moment arrives, you will embark on a romantic bond, not as a bearer of inherited suffering, but as the instrument of inherited favor. Chosen one. The Lord sustained your unattached status this long because the base He is constructing through you will endure. And that base will be so firm that not only you but every existence linked to you will be capable of relying on it for generations ahead. Tasks that necessitate seclusion. Chosen one. One of the most significant misconceptions others hold about your existence is why you appear to devote such extensive time to solitude. They presume you are detached because you cannot identify the suitable individual or because you are overly selective. But the reality delves much deeper. The Lord has assigned particular tasks to your life that can only emerge in seclusion. Your unattached chapter does not represent a void in your narrative. It is the precise setting needed for the endeavors He has summoned you to undertake at this moment. Certain tasks are so fragile, so consecrated, that they cannot be accomplished amid the clamor of perpetual companionship. They demand calmness, attention, and the lack of superfluous opinions in your vicinity. The Lord recognizes that when you are engaged in a romantic bond, your focus becomes divided. And for this specific segment of your existence, your focus must center entirely on Him. This does not concern deprivation. It concerns intensification. Reflect on how numerous pivotal developments in history originated in seclusion. Seers obtained revelations in barren lands. Guides uncovered their approaches in concealed locations. Authors, philosophers, and creators have all recognized that a profound level of innovation and disclosure emerges only when you are solitary with your reflections and with the Lord. Presently, He has positioned you in that identical type of chapter. You might not yet fully grasp all the tasks you are bearing. Some will unveil gradually, others you already recognize. A service to establish a communication, to disseminate an artistic endeavor, to finalize a venture or objective that bears heavenly influence. If you possessed a companion currently, particularly one misaligned with your vocation, they could inadvertently divert you from fulfilling these tasks punctually. The Lord's tasks are time-bound. They are not arbitrary concepts. They constitute heavenly directives intended for accomplishment within a designated period. If you overlook that period due to distraction or depletion, the cascading impact could affect not only your existence, but the existences of those your task was designed to influence. That explains why He is defending this chapter for you with such intensity. Seclusion also instructs you to perceive the Lord without disruption. When you are perpetually encircled by others, it becomes simple for their expressions, viewpoints, and even apprehensions to blend with what you believe the Lord is conveying. In the stillness, you discern the distinction between His expression and all others. You acquire knowledge of how He communicates with you individually. This acuity will prove vital in your subsequent chapter, particularly when you are proceeding alongside a companion and making choices that influence both of you. Some of you are bearing tasks that demand rigorous spiritual readiness, periods of abstinence, supplication, examination, and compliance at intensities you have never encountered previously. These practices are considerably more difficult to sustain when your attention is divided between fulfilling the Lord's summons and cultivating a romantic bond. Presently, the Lord desires your inner essence focused intently on the endeavor. You might also discover that your present tasks require a degree of adaptability and movement that a romantic bond could complicate further. He might require you to relocate abruptly, journey for His objectives, or commit extended periods to constructing something novel. These actions frequently appear illogical to others, but they are crucial steps in achieving your fate. In seclusion, you can advance swiftly without needing to justify or concede. It is not that the Lord never plans for you to experience companionship. It is that He comprehends the sequence of your readiness. Certain objectives must be fulfilled prior to entering a pledged union with your heavenly companion, so that when they materialize, you both are liberated to advance into the forthcoming chapter collectively without unresolved matters lingering. Your seclusion also serves as the space where the Lord hones your assurance in Him. Without a companion to depend on sentimentally, economically, or intellectually, you acquire the skill of relying on Him for every necessity. You recognize that He is your sustainer, your consoler, your director. This heavenly autonomy is what will maintain your strength when obstacles arise in your future romantic bond. You will not depend on your companion as a support. You will stand beside them in power. For some of you, this seclusion benefits not only you, it benefits the individual you will eventually encounter. The Lord is operating on them as well, equipping them for the significance of their own tasks. If you united prematurely, the attraction of your distinct vocations might separate you before you are prepared to proceed in harmony. This interval apart permits both of you to complete the individual objectives the Lord has assigned before you combine for the collective ones. I recognize this can prove a difficult reality to embrace, particularly when your emotions crave companionship, but you must perceive this for its true nature, a consecrated collaboration between you and the Lord, in which He is entrusting you with duties that will influence eternity. You are amid a heavenly labor chapter, and romantic bonds will emerge when the labor demanding your complete seclusion concludes. When you retrospect, you will observe that the initiatives, communications, innovations, and services born during this interval were feasible only because you possessed the room to reflect, supplicate, and act without interruption. You will express gratitude to the Lord for the lucidity, the defense, and even the isolated evenings that seemed desolate, because they formed the very foundation in which your fate established roots and commenced growth. Chosen one, respect this chapter. Do not resist it, and do not squander it by desiring its end. The seclusion you experience now is not vacant area. It is a sacred task in its own right. And when that labor concludes, you will advance into your subsequent segment, knowing you remained loyal to the objective the Lord entrusted to you. That is when you will be equipped for the union He has orchestrated for you. A union constructed not on diversion or concession, but on two fulfilled individuals combining to achieve a superior summons. Heavenly scheduling and the companion equipped for you, chosen one. One of the most vital realities you must anchor in your emotions is that the Lord's scheduling differs from yours. And yet His scheduling is flawless. If He has sustained your unattached status this long, it is not because He has overlooked you, but because both you and your forthcoming companion are being equipped for something surpassing the romantic bond itself. Heavenly unions are not assembled hastily. They are fashioned with accuracy, harmonized, not merely in affection, but in intention, and founded in the completeness of the Lord's scheduling. It is simple to experience restlessness, particularly when your emotions are prepared and your inner essence yearns for that companionship. You might survey your surroundings and observe others forming connections, uniting in matrimony, and establishing households while you linger in what appears as an interminable anticipation chapter. But chosen one, the Lord is not tardy. He is coordinating your existence and your companion's existence so that when you connect, every component will align perfectly. This signifies He is operating invisibly on matters you cannot yet perceive. Your forthcoming companion is not merely a chance encounter. They are an individual with a fate that will synchronize with yours, like two streams converging into one. That type of linkage demands that both of you achieve spiritual maturity, sentimental recovery, and complete equipping for the tasks you will bear collectively. If either of you initiates the union too soon, the significance of the vocation could transform into a load rather than a favor. This explains why the Lord's postponement actually embodies His compassion. Contemplate how many individuals encounter the appropriate person at an inopportune moment. Without readiness, the romantic bond struggles to endure. And what could have formed a heavenly partnership evolves into a tale of emotional pain. The Lord is guaranteeing that does not occur to you. He is ensuring that when the pair of you connect, it is not merely an initial excitement. It is an enduring flame that will persist through difficulties and sustain across life's chapters. This readiness operates in two directions. While the Lord is molding your emotions, reinforcing your inner essence, and purifying your qualities, He is performing the same for your forthcoming companion. They might be acquiring lessons presently that will enable them to cherish you in a manner unmatched by others. They could be amid their own barren chapter, releasing the burden of previous injuries, cultivating endurance, and synchronizing their existence with the Lord's intention. When the moment aligns, the connection will not seem coerced. There will exist a tranquility and assurance that exceeds any prior linkage you have experienced. You will not need to implore the Lord for indicators, because all aspects of the scheduling and harmony will affirm themselves. Exchanges will proceed smoothly. Your inner essences will echo and your intentions will inherently interlace. This represents the elegance of heavenly scheduling. It removes effort. I desire you to grasp something crucial here. You are not anticipating a person. You are anticipating a chapter. Chapters are designated by the Lord, and regardless of your attempts to accelerate them, they will not manifest prematurely. Just as produce matures in its designated period, so does a heavenly partnership. If you attempt to harvest it before readiness, it will lack the delight it is intended to possess. There is also defense in the Lord's scheduling. While you anticipate He protects you from imitations, individuals who resemble the solution but are dispatched to divert or derail you. This explains why in this chapter you must remain near to Him. If you stray into romantic bonds, He has not designated you hazard sentimental diversions that postpone your connection with the one He has equipped for you. During your unattached chapter, request the Lord to ready your emotions for the type of affection He intends to bestow upon you. Supplicate for your forthcoming companion not solely for their security and welfare, but for their heavenly development and compliance with the Lord's blueprint. This is not futile supplication. In truth, it reinforces the spiritual linkage between you prior to your meeting. When heavenly scheduling materializes, it will seem as if all prior events merely guided you to this instant. You will perceive why specific romantic bonds failed, why certain individuals departed, and why the Lord appeared silent during periods of isolation. Every unresponded supplication will become logical. Every sorrow you endured will discover its justification. You will comprehend that the Lord was not compelling you to anticipate as a penalty. He was compelling you to anticipate to perfect the favor. Some of you might be nearer to this instant than you realize. Indicators that your chapter is transitioning can encompass an abrupt lucidity regarding your own intention, an escalation in tranquility concerning your unattached status, opportunities, emerging in your existence that synchronize with your vocation, and even dreams or revelations that validate what lies ahead. When these indicators appear, do not accelerate but observe attentively. The Lord frequently provides suggestions prior to the complete disclosure. And here is the wonderful aspect. Chosen one. When the right person finally steps into your life in God's perfect timing, you will not have to shrink, beg, or erase parts of yourself to keep them. You will not have to compromise your convictions, mute the calling burning in your spirit, or dim the light God has placed in you just to make the relationship work. The one heaven has prepared for you will see you, truly see you in your fullness, love you in your full brightness, and choose to walk beside you as an equal partner in the kingdom assignment God has given both of you. Your love story will not be a private little romance that revolves only around the two of you. It will be a living testimony that points people straight to Jesus. Every time someone looks at the way you honor, serve, and build one another up, they will say, "That's what God's love looks like." So keep standing firm. Keep building what God told you to build. Keep growing into the version of yourself He keeps showing you in prayer. Keep walking in your purpose without apology. God is not only preparing them for you, He is preparing you for a quality of love you have never tasted before. A love that is patient when it's tested, steadfast when storms come, fiercely purposeful, and guarded by angels themselves. Chosen one, when that appointed moment arrives, you will not have to ask, "Lord, is this the one?" Your spirit will rise up and answer before your mind can form the question. Your heart will recognize home. Your body will rest in peace instead of anxiety. And you will fall on your knees in gratitude for every single day you waited, because every single day was necessary. The spouse God has kept for you is not just someone to share a house or a bed with. They are the one you will share destiny with, kingdom exploits, spiritual warfare, miracles, ministry legacy. And that, my dear chosen one, is always, always worth the wait. How to steward your single season well. Chosen one, if God has currently placed you in a season of singleness, then understand this. He has sovereignly entrusted you with a sacred assignment right now. Far too many people waste their single years in frustration, bitterness, or desperation, counting down the days until the season ends, instead of maximizing it for the exact purpose God intended. But you, chosen one, are called to handle this season differently. This is not dead time. This is not punishment. This is not a holding pattern. This is holy ground. This is preparation territory. The way you steward this season will directly determine the strength, health, and fruitfulness of the next season, including the quality of the spouse God sends and the power of the marriage you will build together. The first and most important way to steward your single season is to go deeper with God than you have ever gone before. Without the emotional entanglement and time demands of a romantic relationship, your heart and mind are unusually clarity. This is prime time to establish an unshakable prayer life, to feast on Scripture daily, to spend extended hours in worship and stillness in His presence. You are learning right now how to let God be your primary source of comfort, joy, identity, and direction, so that when your spouse arrives, they complement what God is already doing in you, instead of becoming a counterfeit God you depend on to feel whole. This season is also the appointed time to discover, develop, and walk fully in your purpose. Your future spouse is not coming to complete your assignment. They are coming to run alongside you in it. That means you need to know what your assignment is. What gifts has the Holy Spirit placed in you? What burdens has God put in your heart for certain people or problems? What vision keeps you awake at night? Stop waiting for a relationship to validate you and start obeying the dreams God has already given you. Invest in your craft. Get the training or mentoring you've been postponing. Launch the business. Write the book. Start the ministry record, the music plant, the church, serve the community, do the thing that has been burning in your spirit. Become so anchored in your calling that when your person shows up, they don't distract you from it, they accelerate it. While you wait, heal. Let God deal with every wound, insecurity, and lie from past relationships or childhood. Become whole in Him. Learn financial discipline. Cultivate emotional maturity. Build a life so rich in God, purpose, community, and personal growth that a spouse only adds to it, never fills a void. Chosen one, your single season is not a detour. It is the training ground where God is forging the depth, wisdom, strength, and anointing you will need for the weight of glory that is coming. Steward it like the priceless gift it is. Because the marriage God has for you will not just be beautiful, it will be powerful. And powerful marriages are built by people who refuse to waste their waiting season. So rise up, chosen one. Work on your character. Work on your calling. Work on your intimacy with Jesus. The one who is coming is doing the same on their side. And when your paths finally cross, you will both look back and say, every moment of preparation was worth it. The more you advance in intention now, the more equipped you will be to unite with someone whose objective aligns with yours. Management in this chapter also entails recovering from your history. Too many individuals initiate fresh romantic bonds, bearing unresolved injuries from prior ones. That is a formula for repetitions to recur. Utilize this interval to permit the Lord to address every pain, disloyalty, and letdown you have borne. Pardon the individuals who harmed you. Relinquish the resentment that attempts to flourish in your emotions and permit Him to purify you from detrimental patterns and convictions about affection. When you recover now, you safeguard your future. Safeguarding your cleanliness in form, intellect, and essence is another crucial component of managing this chapter. It extends beyond evading physical closeness outside of pledge. It also concerns maintaining your emotions and reflections pure from linkages and influences that divert you from the Lord. Monitor the material you ingest, the individuals you admit into your close group, and the circumstances you engage in. Cleanliness does not concern limitations, it concerns conservation. You are conserving yourself for the one the Lord has designated for you. Economic management is also essential. The more steady and disciplined you become now, the firmer base you will possess for your forthcoming family. Acquire the skill of handling your resources prudently. Eradicate needless obligations and establish wholesome economic routines. Your future romantic bond will gain from the steadiness you establish now, and you will be equipped to advance in abundance rather than perpetually combating economic pressure. This chapter is also an interval to construct robust, wholesome, non-romantic bonds. Encircle yourself with similar believers who enhance your belief and promote your development. Fellowship is vital not as a substitute for your forthcoming spouse, but as a network that will assist you in remaining responsible and motivated during this path. Another method to manage your unattached chapter effectively is to accept self-control. Acquire discipline in your routines. Cultivate a wholesome way of living. Tend to your form and enrich your intellect. The Lord summons us to be effective managers of the sanctuary He has provided us. That encompasses your physical well-being, mental health, and sentimental steadiness. When you tend to yourself now, you enter your subsequent chapter robust, assured, and prepared to offer your utmost. Utilize this interval to practice contributing without anticipating reciprocation. Offer your time. Contribute to those requiring aid. Guide someone less experienced in belief. Chosen one. Let this season of singleness is not an empty hallway you are forced to pace until someone finally shows up. It is a divine investment account, and every single day you choose to steward it well. Heaven is making massive deposits of character, wisdom, vision, healing authority, and favor that will pay dividends for the rest of your life and into the generations that follow you. One of the greatest treasures being forged in you right now is the quiet, powerful virtue of contribution. When you pour your time, your gifts, your energy, your finances, your prayers, and your creativity into the kingdom, instead of into dating apps, late-night texting, or trying to make something happen, something supernatural takes place. Serving the broken, feeding the hungry, mentoring the fatherless, building ministries, starting businesses, writing books, leading worship, discipling nations. These acts of selfless contribution impart three priceless qualities that no relationship class could ever teach you. First, humility. Nothing keeps pride in check like washing feet. Nobody claps for showing up when nobody posts it, giving when nobody repays. Humility is the fragrance that makes you safe for covenant. Second, endurance. Contribution teaches you to keep showing up when you are tired, when results are slow, when nobody notices. That same endurance will be the backbone that holds your future marriage together when the honeymoon feelings fade and real life presses in. Third, empathy. When you sit with widows at 2 a.m., listen to teenagers who feel worthless, hold the hand of someone battling addiction. You learn to feel what others feel. That empathy is the glue of every lasting covenant. The Lord is raising you to be not just a good spouse, but an extraordinary one, the kind who can carry another person's pain without collapsing, who can celebrate another person's win without jealousy, who can love when love is hard. And perhaps the rarest, most valuable deposit of all is the gift of contentment. Please hear this clearly. Contentment is not the death of your desire for marriage. It is the death of desperation. It is the supernatural ability to wake up every morning and say, Lord, you are more than enough for me today, and mean it with your whole heart. When you learn to delight yourself in the Lord alone, when His presence becomes your favorite place, when His voice becomes the one you run to first, something shifts permanently inside you. You stop grasping at relationships out of fear of being alone. You stop auditioning for people who were never sent. You stop trying to convince someone to choose you. Instead, you stand in quiet, radiant wholeness, and the right person is drawn to the light they see burning in you. Chosen one, this single season is not a pause button on your real life. It is a sacred, limited time heavenly assignment. Every morning you wake up and choose to steward it well. You are storing up oil in your lamp bricks for your future house seeds, for your future harvest, and glory for your future marriage. You are becoming the version of yourself that will not merely attract your kingdom spouse, but will be able to keep them, nurture them, cover them, lead them, or submit to them in holy beauty, and together build something that makes hell regret the day you both said I do. Do not, I repeat, do not waste this season passively scrolling, pining, complaining, or begging God to hurry. Use it fiercely, intentionally, prayerfully, and joyfully. Invest in your spirit. Fast. Pray in tongues for hours. Memorize entire books of the Bible. Sit in His presence until heaven feels closer than earth. Invest in your purpose. Launch the ministry. Write the book. Start the business. Go back to school. Move to the nation. He keeps highlighting. Invest in your health. Heal your body. Renew your mind. Break every soul tie. Forgive every name that hurt you. Invest in your finances, get out of debt. Learn to steward money like the kingdom millionaire you are becoming. Invest in your healing. Go to therapy if needed. Let Holy Spirit dig out every root of rejection, abandonment, performance. Invest in your joy, laugh again, dance again, travel. Create, live with wide-eyed wonder. The more you pour into becoming whole right now, the more you will have to pour into your future spouse later. When the appointed day finally arrives and the Lord brings the one He has personally prepared across your path, you will not meet them as someone still limping from old wounds, still searching for identity, still unstable and unsure. You will meet them, standing tall, eyes clear, heart, healed, spirit on fire, hands already full of fruit from years of faithful stewardship. You will meet them as a complete, confident, purpose-driven son or daughter of the Most High, ready to link arms and build a legacy that echoes into eternity. And in that moment, when you look into their eyes and feel the click of divine recognition, you will fall to your knees in worship and say, "Thank you, Father, for every single day I thought I was alone. Thank you for every door you closed. Thank you for every night I cried myself to sleep. Thank you for every prayer you seemed silent on. It was all worth it. Every second of preparation was perfect. Chosen one, hear the prophetic weight of this closing word and let it settle in your spirit like fire. Your singleness has never for 1 second been about rejection, punishment, or delay. It has been about divine strategy, masterful preparation, and fierce protection. Every relationship that ended, every door that slammed, every season of silence, every tear you cried in secret, the Lord collected them all and used them as raw material to build something breathtakingly beautiful in you. He has been writing a story so much bigger than romance. He has been crafting a destiny that requires your full attention, your full devotion, your full capacity. He has been healing generational wounds you did not even know you carried. He has been breaking curses over your bloodline. He has been restoring purity, vision, authority, and joy that past relationships almost stole. He has been teaching you to war, to worship, to steward, to lead, to love, like He loves all while your heart was safely hidden in Him. He has been molding you into someone who will not just start a marriage, but who will sustain one, grow one, protect one, and turn one home into a burning lighthouse for the kingdom of God. You are not behind. You are not missing out. You are not forgotten. You are not forfeiting life. You are right now exactly where you are in the perfect center of God's timing. The enemy wants you to believe you are wasting time, that everyone else is living the real story while you sit on the sidelines. That is a lie straight from the pit. The truth is, you are in the most intensive, accelerated training program heaven offers, and graduation day is closer than you think. So lift your head, chosen ones. Wipe your tears. Silence the lies. Put on strength and dignity. Walk in joy and purpose. Keep investing, keep serving, keep it healing, keep it growing, keep it choosing the contentment, keep it raising your standards and trusting His timing. Because very soon, when you least expect it, in a moment that will take your breath away, the Lord Himself will bring the one across your path and whisper, "This is why I kept you single. This is why I said wait. This is why I protected your heart. Look what we built while you trusted me." And on that day, every question will be answered, every tear will turn to laughter, every lonely night will make perfect sense, and you will fall on your face in worship before a Father who loved you enough to say no to good so He could give you His very best. Chosen one, the waiting is almost over. The preparation is almost complete. The person you have become in this season is the person your future spouse has been praying would show up their whole life. Keep going, keep shining, keep trusting. Your covenant is coming, and it will be worth every single day you chose Him first. But in truth, you are advancing because you are permitting the Lord to establish your base before your structure. Many accelerate into affection without this base and suffer consequences later. You, however, are allowing the Supreme Architect to equip you so that when your union materializes, it will endure the trials of duration. There is a prophetic transition approaching in your existence. For some of you, this insight serves as your validation that your anticipation chapter is approaching its conclusion. You will commence noticing heavenly synchronizations, opportunities emerging seamlessly, and a sensation of preparedness ascending in your inner essence. You will recognize it is time not due to desperation or coercion, but due to tranquility. For others, the Lord is informing you that He still has labor to finalize in you before dispatching your companion. And that is not something to dread or harbor resentment toward. It is something to accept. The extended duration you permit Him to operate, the more comprehensive His favor will become. Listen attentively. The companion the Lord is equipping for you is not merely someone to cherish you. They are someone to advance with you in intention. They will comprehend your vocation, honor your limits, respect your inner essence, and treasure your company. They will not feel threatened by your illumination, but will defend and cultivate it. And collectively, you will form a living evidence of what the Lord can accomplish when two individuals submit their romantic bond to Him. Until that day materializes, I am encouraging you. Do not squander your unattached chapter. Manage it with deliberation. Safeguard your emotions, develop your endowments, intensify your journey with the Lord, and construct the existence He has implanted in your emotions. When your companion arrives, they will discover you already exist in your intention, not anticipating them to activate it. That is the type of union the Lord favors. Chosen one, your endurance is not futile. Every day you select compliance over concession. Every instance you rely on the Lord. Rather than accelerating forward, you are planting seeds into your future. And the yield will prove valuable for every sorrow, every isolated evening, every unresolved inquiry. The Lord's assurance is certain, and His scheduling is impeccable. So here are my summons to you presently. Remain resolute. Decline to accept anything beneath what the Lord has assured. Maintain your focus on Him, not on the timeline, not on contrasts, and not on the coercion of others' viewpoints. Your narrative is distinctive, and it will develop in a manner that exalts the Lord and brings delight to your emotions. If this insight has served as your validation, I desire you to proclaim it in the comment section immediately. Enter. 2 as a prophetic gesture of concordance that you are synchronized with the Lord's blueprint for your existence. Let the celestial and earthly realms witness that you rely on His guidance in this chapter. And as you do so, recognize that I am aligning in belief with you for the accomplishment of every assurance He has issued regarding your existence and your romantic bonds. Prior to concluding, I wish to bestow this blessing upon you. May the Lord persist in defending your emotions, enhancing your judgment, and infusing your inner essence with tranquility. May He empower you to advance with assurance in this chapter, knowing you are selected, cherished, and defended. May your anticipation be brimming with intention, your seclusion abundant with disclosure, and your emotions prepared when your designated moment arrives. And when it does, may your union radiate so intensely that it attracts others nearer to Him. Chosen one. This is your interval to equip, to develop, to rely, and to anticipate. Your narrative is not halted. It is developing precisely as intended. The Lord holds you in His grasp, and He will not disappoint you. If this insight has resonated with your emotions, ensure you sign up for Rise of the Chosen. Activate the notification bell so you never overlook what the Lord is conveying, and pass this along to another chosen one who requires this prompt today. You never know whose existence could transform simply because you disseminated the message. Now proceed with courage, knowing that you are not anticipating fruitlessly. You are being equipped for magnificence. And when the instant arrives, you will observe that every moment of this chapter was worthwhile. The season of being set apart was never without reason. God kept you single to protect your path, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for something greater than you imagined. But with that calling also comes resistance, and even those closest to you may not understand. This is why some of your own relatives have turned their hearts against you. Have you ever pondered the reason why certain members of your own family, those connected to you by blood, gaze upon you with unspoken bitterness? Why do the individuals who ought to be applauding your achievements frequently appear the most uneasy when you achieve success? Why does it seem as though an invisible strain fills the atmosphere whenever you enter a space, as if your mere arrival stirs up something profound inside them? Chosen one, this communication has arrived in your life precisely when it was meant to. I urge you to pay close attention, for it will alter your self-perception and the manner in which you interact with those nearest to you. This occurrence is far from accidental. The reality that you are engaging with this content at this very moment indicates that your inner essence was guided here, signaling your preparedness to grasp the reality. You have likely questioned yourself repeatedly, wondering why they behave toward you in such a manner. Why does so much unexpressed jealousy and detachment emanate from your own kin? You have second-guessed your own actions. You have considered whether perhaps you might be the source of the issue. However, let me state this plainly. You are not the issue. You are the selected individual. And this animosity, this jealousy, this subtle bitterness, it does not stem from any shortcomings on your part. It arises from the radiance you possess. I require you to fully comprehend this concept. The individuals who harbor the strongest grudge against you are frequently not outsiders, but rather those who share your genetic heritage. The explanation is straightforward. Your inner being holds a significance, a fate, a brilliance that they can perceive even if you have not yet fully recognized it yourself. Your essence emits a quality that sets you apart, and that distinction provokes a reaction in them. Some are unable to articulate it. Others may not even be aware of their behavior, yet their inner spirit detects it prior to their conscious thoughts. You serve as a reminder to them of the potential they once possessed. You highlight the pursuits they decided against following, and merely by being yourself, you reflect back on their own restrictions. Chosen one, I desire for you to absorb this reality. You have no obligation to plead for their endorsement, and you are not required to justify your existence to anybody. The more you attempt to diminish yourself, the greater your unhappiness will become, since you are not designed to conform to their standards. You are formed to surpass those standards, to distinguish yourself, to fulfill a sacred mission that extends far beyond familial customs, beyond inherited behaviors, beyond anything your kin might ever grasp. That is the reason their inner selves struggle in your presence. It is not you personally whom they despise. It is the ideals you embody. You symbolize liberation, fate, and sacred intent. This communication holds vital importance for you at this juncture because as soon as you comprehend it, you will cease squandering your efforts, pondering why they fail to cheer for you. You will discontinue doubting your value due to their quietness or their indirect remarks. In its place, you will perceive it accurately as validation. Their bitterness validates your sacred empowerment. Their unease validates your brilliance. Their animosity validates your fate. I encourage you to pause briefly at this moment and leave a note in the section below if this strikes a chord within you. Enter 2222 or 4444, depending on which sequence resonates with your inner being as you absorb these statements, since I wish to confirm whether this communication is addressing your essence directly. Allow this action to serve as an affirmation to yourself that you are no longer unaware of the situation. You observe it, you comprehend it, and you are advancing toward enlightenment. Before we proceed further, ensure that you follow this platform. Rise of the Chosen and activate the notification feature so that you always receive these transformative communications. Distribute this content to another person who might be quietly enduring familial bitterness, as you cannot predict whose existence might be altered simply by encountering this insight. However, permit me to emphasize this point. Standing out is not a matter for regret. It is a quality to welcome fully. Your distinctiveness represents your endowment. Your singularity serves as evidence that you are not intended to merge with the masses, but rather to distinguish yourself prominently. You are not present to traverse identical routes as all others. You are here to forge fresh trails, to emit a brilliance so intense that eventually others will be compelled to admit that the touch of the sacred rests upon you. The dynamics of kin disputes chosen ones. Now we need to confront one of the most distressing realities: disputes within the kin group. For numerous among you, this has represented your most profound injury. It is one matter to encounter resistance from unfamiliar people, but it inflicts far greater pain when it originates from those who bear your surname, your heritage, and your background. And nevertheless, it is commonly the individuals closest to you who find it most challenging to embrace your radiance. Why does this occur? The solution resides in the essence of kin bonds themselves. Kin groups encompass not solely affection, but also anticipation, convention, and unresolved injuries transmitted across eras. But here lies the insight you need to cling to. Do not permit resentment to establish itself in your soul. You cannot permit yourself to harbor bitterness toward those who harbor it toward you. Their disputes represent their load. Your mission involves maintaining concentration. If you expend vitality combating them, you forfeit progress in your mission. So today I proclaim this for you. May you cease dissipating vitality in bewilderment. May you cease bearing the weight of dismissal. May you cease attempting to persuade those incapable of perception. Instead, may you ascend courageously, recognizing your selection, recognizing your preparation, recognizing your guidance. The sacred has already composed your narrative, and it concludes in triumph. Chosen ones accept this communication as your indicator. This marks your instance of enlightenment. From this point onward, perceive their bitterness for its true nature. Not as an injury, but as an instrument benefiting you. Not as a barrier, but as a foundation for advancement. Not as a conclusion, but as the commencement of your ascension. You are selected, and selected individuals cannot be halted. Prior to departing, I encourage you to affirm your concurrence in the responses. Enter 2222 as your validation that you accept this statement, that you are prepared to ascend, and that you will prevent bitterness from restraining you further. Allow the community to recognize that you are alert, conscious, and harmonized with your fate. And remember, follow Rise of the Chosen. Activate the notification feature so you always receive communications, and distribute this content with someone requiring it. An individual in your network is quietly contending with the anguish of kin bitterness, and your distribution could serve as the mechanism that initiates their recovery. Chosen one, I conclude with this. Your adversaries will observe your ascension, your kin will witness your evolution, and all who questioned you will ultimately be compelled to recognize that the touch of the sacred has perpetually rested upon you. Continue progressing courageously, for your era has arrived. If you devote your existence to persuading them to cherish you, you postpone the precise fate for which you were selected. Instead, maintain your limits with fortitude and your soul with empathy. Pardon them, but do not alter your route to accommodate them. Cherish them, but prevent their disputes from diverting you. At times, the most impactful declaration you can issue is to persist in ascending, persist in radiating, and permit your existence to proclaim more emphatically than any debate possibly could. Chosen one, if you sense this statement penetrating your essence at this moment, if you recognize that you are the individual in your kin group dispatched to dismantle repetitions and surpass inherited restrictions, I encourage you to enter 333 in the responses. That serves as your affirmation that you acknowledge your position as the one selected to alter the entire heritage. In the forthcoming segment, I will demonstrate why fate cannot remain concealed, and why, regardless of the extent to which your kin oppose, they cannot halt what has been sacredly designated in your existence. Their animosity lacks the strength of your mission. Their bitterness cannot obliterate what has been ordained. Fate cannot remain concealed. Chosen one, now you need to comprehend one of the most potent realities concerning your existence. Fate cannot be obscured. Regardless of how intensely you attempt to integrate, regardless of how much your kin might desire to disregard or repress what resides upon you, the radiance of fate cannot be veiled. It resembles a blaze. Even when you endeavor to extinguish it, even when you strive to remain silent, it discovers a means to ignite further. That explains why, whether you sought notice or not, whether you pursued acknowledgement or not, individuals observe you. They might not commend you, but they observe. They might not applaud, but they cannot refute what is evident, that you bear something they lack. Reflect upon your existence. Have there been instances where you attempted merely to conform, where you desired to remain inconspicuous, yet somehow you still distinguished yourself? That is no accident. That represents the indicator of fate. Selected individuals cannot conceal their vocation because it was never intended for concealment. Even in quietness, your presence communicates. Even in seclusion, your presence testifies. You might not perpetually perceive it within yourself, but others detect it immediately. That explains why kin regard you in a particular manner. They sense the significance of your mission before you utter a single word. Fate possesses a method of disclosing itself in your thoughts, in your demeanor, in your reactions to circumstances. Where others become frantic, you maintain composure. Where others comply, you inquire. Where others accept mediocrity, you advance continually. These distinctions are not arbitrary characteristics of character. They constitute proof of a superior blueprint. And individuals, particularly those in your kin group, detect it. They might not express it, but their inner beings recognize it. This recognition forms the source of much of their bitterness. They cannot precisely verbalize it, but profoundly, they understand you were not formed to experience the identical existence they did. You were selected to ascend further, to traverse a route they cannot pursue. And rather than deriving pleasure from your fate, they perceive it as a menace. This accounts for why you frequently sense strain in environments where you have committed no offense. Your fate renders them uneasy because it reminds them of what they have rejected within themselves. But here is what you need to cling to. Their unease does not concern you. You cannot contract your fate to alleviate their apprehension. You cannot reduce your radiance to calm their vulnerability. To act in such a way would betray the precise purpose of your presence here. Fate cannot be obscured, and it ought not to be obscured. You were formed to radiate, not to express regret for radiating. Even when you attempt to mute your talent, it will still generate resonance. Even when you endeavor to minimize your presence, you will still draw focus. That defines the essence of the selected. It is not conceited. It is a heavenly fact. Joseph did not request visions that disclosed his excellence. Nevertheless, he received them. David did not solicit anointment as ruler. Nevertheless, the consecration occurred upon him. You do not request separation, yet the celestial has already designated you. Fate does not bargain with mortal viewpoints. It emerges regardless of whether individuals approve. Chosen one, allow this to serve as your comfort. The bitterness of kin cannot nullify what the sacred has ordained. They might attempt to undermine you. They could endeavor to diminish you. They might disregard your achievements. But none of those actions alters what is already confirmed. The identical individuals who deride you currently will eventually observe the realization of your vocation, and they will be unable to refute it. Your fate rests not in their control. It resides in the control of the one who selected you. And here lies the splendor of it. The precise opposition you encounter is molding you into the person you need to become. Their animosity is honing your insight. Their dismissal is constructing your endurance. Their jealousy is instructing you how to progress courageously without the commendation of others. What they intend for detriment is being converted into readiness. You are acquiring the ability to rely on your own foundation, to depend upon heavenly fortitude, and to advance in mission without external affirmation. Therefore, do not lose hope when you sense the scrutiny of bitterness directed at you. Do not become disheartened when kin become distant. Perceive it for its true nature. Validation. Each time you sense that strain, allow it to remind you, this serves as evidence of my fate. Each time they dismiss your advancement with disdain, each time they murmur, secretly recognize that it occurs solely because your radiance refuses concealment. And no degree of refusal from them can alter the fact that you are selected. Recall this, chosen one. Fate perpetually proclaims itself. You need not announce it loudly. You need not impose it. Your existence will disclose it. Your presence will affirm it. And the community, including your kin, will ultimately be compelled to observe it. In the subsequent segment, we will discuss the insights you need to bear as a selected individual. How to manage this reality with discernment. How to maneuver through kin bitterness without forfeiting your tranquility, and how to progress with command without developing resentment. These insights are essential because selection involves not only bearing fate, it concerns understanding how to safeguard it. Insights for the selected one. You now comprehend that you are designated, that jealousy and bitterness are not haphazard, and that fate cannot remain concealed. But the inquiry persists. How do you exist with this reality? How do you conduct yourself when your own kin harbor bitterness toward you? How do you stay resilient without developing resentment? This is where discernment becomes necessary, because the selected must not merely withstand, but also prosper. The initial insight you need to acquire is acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge that not all will rejoice in you. You need to acknowledge that certain kin will never applaud you, regardless of the extent of your positive actions, regardless of your modesty. And that does not reflect your value. It reflects their soul. The quicker you acknowledge this reality, the quicker you will cease expending vitality, attempting to secure their endorsement. Your existence is not a legal proceeding. You are not under scrutiny. You do not need to submit proof to validate your worth. Your fate already provides sufficient evidence. The second insight involves limits. As a selected individual, you need to protect your inner being. You cannot continually subject yourself to settings that deplete you. It does not indicate frailty to establish distance. It signifies discernment. Safeguard your tranquility. Safeguard your vitality. If you recognize that specific kin perpetually express negativity, restrict your exposure to them. You can still respect them, you can still cherish them, but you are not obligated to permit them to contaminate your inner being. Sacred development entails recognizing when to participate and when to retreat. The third insight is pardon. This might appear challenging, but it proves essential. Pardon is not intended for them. It is intended for you. If you permit bitterness to embed in your soul, you will bear the precise toxin you seek to evade. Pardon does not imply permitting individuals to abuse you. It signifies liberating the weight of animosity. You ascend beyond it. You decline to allow their obscurity to reduce your radiance. The selected cannot permit themselves to exist with a burdened soul, because a burdened soul will impede your mission. The fourth insight is to cease pursuing comprehension from those incapable of perception. Certain kin simply will never grasp your vocation. They lack sacred vision for it, and that is not your duty to remedy. You cannot compel someone to perceive what they are unprepared to perceive. Reserve your justifications. Proceed along your route. Eventually, your outcomes will communicate more emphatically than statements. The fifth insight is to welcome solitude when it arrives. Selection frequently feels separating, and that occurs because the further you ascend, the more limited the companionship becomes. But solitude does not signify abandonment. It signifies preparation. Isolation serves as the learning environment for the selected. It is where you develop, where you perceive the sacred more distinctly, where you are formed into the individual you need to become. Do not oppose it. Welcome it. It is during the serene instances that your fortitude increases. The sixth insight is appreciation. Even amid kin disputes, even when you feel misinterpreted, never overlook the gifts surrounding you. Appreciation maintains the tenderness of your soul. Appreciation sustains the harmony of your inner being. Appreciation reminds you that although kin might harbor bitterness toward you, the celestial still bestows grace upon you. You remain sustained, you remain directed, you remain ascending. Appreciation redirects your attention from the anguish of dismissal to the delight of mission. The final insight is bravery. You need to progress courageously in your vocation. Cease expressing regret for your distinctiveness. Cease diminishing to accommodate others. Cease questioning yourself due to their disapproval. If the sacred has selected you, then who possesses the ability to deselect you? Progress with command. Communicate with assurance. Exist with determination. You are not present to navigate existence cautiously. You are present to advance resolutely into fate. Chosen ones accept these insights and retain them intimately. They transcend mere concepts. They represent instruments. They will safeguard your soul. They will direct your actions. They will maintain your stability when the tempests of bitterness attempt to unsettle you. You are not intended to exist in bewilderment. You are intended to exist in clarity. You are not intended to exist in apprehension. You are intended to exist in courage. And recall this. The animosity of your kin does not represent your demise. It serves as your preparation arena. It is honing you. It is imparting discernment. It is propelling you nearer to your mission. Therefore, do not disdain the disputes. Utilize them. Permit them to shape you. Permit them to construct you. Permit them to remind you that you are selected. And selected individuals are perpetually purified through trials. In the subsequent segment, I will demonstrate how to integrate all of this, the bitterness, the anguish, the jealousy, and convert it into development. Because you were not selected merely to endure. You were selected to prosper. And the precise elements intended to shatter you can transform into the elements that propel you further, converting bitterness into development. Chosen one, since you go comprehend the insights you need to bear it, is time to advance to the subsequent phase. Converting bitterness into development. The reality is that the animosity, the jealousy, and the disputes you have encountered do not exist to demolish you. They exist to mold you. What adversaries plan for detriment, the sacred perpetually converts for benefit. And if you examine closely, you will observe that the precise opposition you have withstood has already served as your most significant instructor. Reflect upon your existence. Each time someone questioned you, did it not compel you to validate yourself quietly? Each time a relative attempted to belittle your value, did it not reinforce your sense of self? Each time you felt marginalized, did it not compel you to cultivate endurance? You observe bitterness resembles flames. It can scorch you or it can purify you. The decision resides in your response. The initial phase in conversion is viewpoint. You need to alter your perception of their animosity. Cease viewing it as dismissal and commence viewing it as affirmation. If you did not bear something extraordinary, no one would feel compelled to harbor bitterness toward you. Their jealousy serves as evidence that you are progressing in a radiance they cannot disregard. When you begin to perceive bitterness as proof of your vocation, it forfeits its capacity to injure you. Rather than inquiring, "Why do they despise me?" you commence to proclaim, "They despise me because I am selected." The second phase is to employ their opposition as incentive. Numerous selected individuals ascend further precisely because they decline to permit the expressions of doubt to define them. You might not have received encouragement from your kin, but their quietness became the catalyst that motivated you to discover fortitude internally. You might not have received backing, but the absence of backing compelled you to acquire self-reliance, self-control, and reliance on the sacred. Each time they attempted to restrict you, you surpassed the restriction. Each time they attempted to humiliate you, you converted it into bravery. This is how bitterness transforms into development. It compels you to develop capabilities you would never have cultivated in ease. The third phase is to purify your inner being. Bitterness imparts patience. It imparts judgment. It imparts the ability to identify people's genuine motives without resentment. It imparts the ability to cherish without anticipation. You acquire the skill to perceive beyond superficial grins into the reality of someone's inner being. And although it causes pain initially, this judgment becomes one of your most potent instruments. It shields you from forthcoming disloyalty. It enables you to proceed discerningly, to harmonize with those who genuinely support your path, and to separate from those who covertly resist you. The fourth phase is to ascend beyond triviality. Comprehend this distinctly. You cannot reduce yourself to their standard. If they spread rumors, do not reciprocate with rumors. If they defame, do not counterattack. If they vie, do not participate in the contest. The selected ascend higher. Your development is not demonstrated by your retaliation, but by your transcendence of the conflict zone completely. Permit your accomplishments, your tranquility, and your ongoing ascension to communicate more emphatically than any statements. The fifth phase is to welcome the development of separation. There will be periods when bitterness causes you to feel isolated even within your own kin group. But seclusion does not constitute a penalty. It constitutes readiness. It is during those periods of misinterpretation that you cultivate closeness with the sacred. It is during those periods of dismissal that you uncover your authentic expression. Separation generates clarity, and clarity generates strength. Numerous selected individuals have affirmed that their most significant advancements occurred following their most profound periods of dismissal. Do not disdain the seclusion. It represents hallowed territory. The sixth phase is to permit empathy to prevail. This does not signify enduring abuse, but it does signify declining to allow animosity to contaminate your soul. When you recognize that the bitterness of your kin originates from their own suffering, their own dissatisfaction, and their own vulnerabilities, you cease internalizing it so deeply. You observe that they are contending with their own confrontations. And although you cannot remedy them, you can extend empathy rather than resentment. This maintains the purity of your soul and the lightness of your inner being, which proves crucial for your development. Finally, the seventh phase is harmony. Development does not merely concern enduring animosity. It concerns prospering in mission. Employ the force of dismissal to propel you further into your sacred routines. Communicate with the divine more frequently. Contemplate more often. Pursue discernment. Construct your aspiration. Enhance your talents. While they occupy themselves with observation and murmuring, you occupy yourself with ascension. When you harmonize with your mission, their bitterness becomes insignificant. Their animosity becomes mere ambient sound to the harmony of your fate. Chosen one, permit me to clarify this. The precise element intended to shatter you is the element that will construct you. The precise expressions that attempt to mute you will one day be muted by your accomplishments. The precise dismissal you encountered will become the foundation for your endurance. You are not present to be overwhelmed by bitterness. You are present to convert it into development, into fortitude, into discernment, into strength. Do you sense this reality agitating within your inner being at this moment? Do you sense the transformation? Then enter 2222 in the responses as your affirmation that you are no longer injured by their bitterness. You are altered by it. That sequence will signify your decision today to ascend further, to develop stronger, and to convert every fragment of animosity into catalyst for your fate. In the subsequent segment, I will demonstrate what it entails to progress courageously along your route once you have transformed. Because it proves insufficient to develop privately, you need also to enter the world with bravery, without regret, and with the command of someone who recognizes their selection. Progressing along the route courageously chosen ones. Since you now comprehend how to convert bitterness into development, it is time to advance into the phase of progressing courageously in your fate. Development without initiative remains unfinished. Discernment without bravery will still constrain you. You were not selected merely to withstand the jealousy of kin. You were selected to prosper despite it. This entails entering your route with assurance, without regret, and without delay. The initial reality you need to cling to is this: cease concealing your radiance. For an extended period, you might have attempted to minimize your talents, your intellect, your accomplishments, or even your sacred perception merely to accommodate others. You have remained silent in settings where you ought to have expressed yourself. You have restrained your concepts because you apprehended they would perceive you as conceited. You have diminished yourself because you believed it would secure acceptance. But concealing your radiance has never provided tranquility, has it? That occurs because your inner being was never formed to integrate into the backdrop. Your inner being was crafted to guide. Progressing courageously signifies you stand completely in your essence. You welcome the fact that you differ, and you perceive it as your heavenly fortitude. Comprehend this distinctly. Your singularity represents your strength. You were not selected to replicate. You were selected to create anew. You were not selected to reiterate the past. You were selected to revise it. And to accomplish this, you need to exist courageously, even if it causes unease for others. The second reality is steadiness. Courage does not concern sporadic surges of assurance. It concerns appearing consistently with unswerving belief. Your kin might observe you anticipating your stumble, anticipating your failure. Permit them to observe. Demonstrate to them the potency of steadiness. Continue constructing, continue developing, continue communicating with the divine, continue laboring on your mission. Permit your existence to serve as an undeniable testimony. Steadiness quiets skepticism more rapidly than any debate possibly could. The third reality is to rely on your expression. As a selected individual, you will frequently feel like an exception. Your viewpoints might not align with the majority. Your concepts might appear excessively innovative. Your aspirations might seem unattainable to others, but rely that your expression was bestowed upon you for a purpose. Express courageously. Share your aspiration without apprehension. Progress in the command that derives from recognizing the sacred supports you. The fourth reality is endurance. Progressing courageously does not signify the route will prove simple. It signifies you will remain unshaken when resistance emerges. You will not yield under stress. You will not withdraw when others question you. You comprehend that stress forges gems and you are being purified through each ordeal. Endurance signifies you absorb the impacts, but continue advancing. You absorb the setbacks, but do not forfeit your belief. You are not delicate, you are tempered in flames. The fifth reality is guidance. Selected individuals serve as guides whether they desire the position or not. You might not have pursued guidance, but your vocation requires it. Progressing courageously signifies accepting that others observe you, learn from you, and become influenced by your decisions. Exist in a manner that mirrors discernment and fortitude. Do not await a platform or an emblem of authority. Guidance commences in your daily demeanor, in your self-control, in your honesty, in your bravery. The sixth reality is liberation from the fear of misinterpretation. Courageous progression necessitates releasing the requirement for comprehension. Your kin might never grasp your decisions. They might never grasp why you traverse the route you do, but their comprehension does not constitute a prerequisite for your fate. If you await affirmation, you will await eternally. Courage signifies advancing even when no one applauds, even when no one concurs. The sole endorsement you require originates from the one who selected you. The seventh reality is growth. Courage inherently increases your impact. When you cease concealing, when you commence existing without apology, your radiance intensifies. Individuals beyond your network begin to observe. Prospects begin to emerge. The sacred begins to dispatch individuals who harmonize with your vocation. Courage draws harmony. When you progress in your complete strength, you summon the assets, associations, and advancements necessary to realize your mission. Recall that the bitterness of kin is not novel. Joseph encountered it from his siblings. David encountered it from his own relatives. Even Christ himself encountered doubt and disrespect in his birthplace. You are not traversing an unfamiliar route. You are traversing the route of the exceptional individuals who preceded you. Their narratives serve as evidence that dismissal is not a burden, but an affirmation. If the most exceptional were despised, why should you anticipate differently?